Thanks so much, Dennis. Fantastic. Well, welcome. It's a good night. My voice is shot because I've been yelling at crowds for almost 2 weeks. But thank you. Thank you for having me here. All right. I'm going to start with a great quote, and I'm going to come back to it, I hope, once or twice. But remember this great quote. You can accomplish anything in politics if you don't mind who gets the credit. So we have these bad bills that passed through in the last legislative session, and now they're law. And these bad bills restricted how law enforcement can interrupt a crime in progress. They restricted how law enforcement can pursue a felon or a suspect from leaving the scene of a crime. They increased the personal liability risk that a police officer or a sheriff's deputy has. Personal liability if they're sued by a suspect or a felon who's been badly treated. And we have the bills in place already. We have the bills drafted already to reform these reforms. And some of the changes that we need to make are simple, mechanical changes. For example, these new bills that have taken effect, they changed the standard for pursuing a suspect. They make it that the officer has to have probable cause to chase after someone. Probable cause in legal circles, pretty high standard. The traditional standard was the officer had to have reasonable suspicion that the criminal was, the suspect was a criminal and a felon. So we can return the language from the new higher standard, probable cause, to the traditional standard, reasonable suspicion. The new laws included some other language that make things more difficult. They say that in order to physically constrain a suspect or chase a suspect, there has to be an imminent threat that the bad guy is going to create some violent attack. An imminent threat, that means a clear and present, irrefutable threat. Whereas traditionally, we would say that if there was just a threat of a violent act, the law enforcement officer could restrain the suspect. We can do these things, and we've already begun that process. We've drafted those bills. We are drafting those bills. We're circulating them around. We're getting buy-in from other lawmakers, from the Sheriff's Association, from the police chiefs, these groups. So we got the mechanical fixes to make your state safer than it is right now. We know in the black letter of the law, of the statute, the words we need to change, the lines we need to replace. We know that, and we've got it already drafted. But the issue and what we need to think of going forward is larger than changing a word here or a word there. And when people say to me, Walsh, what do I do? What do I do about this? Well, let me tell you what you do. And let me give you a challenge for the next year or so as we try to fix what's broken in our law. One of the greatest gifts that our Maker gives us is reason. In the book they call it logos. And logos gives us our modern sense of law and legal. But logos also means the word. And it means the word that we read in the book all the time. But what gives us the good words in the book and what gives us the good words in our law that keeps us safe, that keeps our our neighborhoods secure is reason, is logic, which is the other great word that comes from that logos. What these bad bills that have restrained and constrained what our police officers and sheriff's deputies can do, what these bad bills all share in common is a lack of reason. There he goes. Take the call, thank you. They share in their architecture, in their DNA. These bad laws share a lack of reason. What motivates them is emotion. What motivates them is all heart and no head. Now, we need heart. We need heart in our society. Our heart can guide us, and it can show us problems that need to be fixed. But the solutions that work best for most have to run through the head. They have to run through reason. And what we lack right now in Olympia, and what we lack in DC, what we lack in this nation, is that commitment to reason in our law. And this is what I challenge to you. Expect more from your governments at the county level, at the state level, at the national level. Expect reason, expect logic, expect the ability to think through the heart's immediate impulse for response to the greatest good for all of us in the long run, in many years down the line, not just what feels good in the moment. Because a lot of these bad bills come from the desire to feel good in the moment, to feel better, to feel I'm a good person. Don't look for law to make you feel you're a good person in your heart. You come here to feel you're a good person in your heart. Olympia needs to provide you something else. Olympia needs to provide you reason and the rule of law consistently and fairly applied. So we have the tools, we have the mechanical fixes all lined up. We have the reason behind our fixes to bad laws. And we're making that case through quiet channels now to our colleagues in Olympia. And what I expect that you'll see in the coming year or so is a lot of the same legislators, the same elected officials, the same governor who supported these bad laws now are going to be supporting the reforms to fix the bad laws that they previously supported. You're going to see them in the photo op with the police officer. You're going to see them with the family that's been victimized. You're going to hear so much from them about how they think of victims, how they think of law enforcement officers, and they've got their back. And you know what? That's fine, because there's no limit to what you can accomplish in politics if you don't mind who takes the credit. So watch these things emerge over the next year or so as those who supported the bad laws see the error of their ways and realize there are more elections coming up and change their course and rein in the bad, and that's good. But you hold us to higher account. Because logos, because reason, and the word that you read in the book is a sword. And you hold that sword. And that is the sword that will protect you and your children and your grandchildren and your descendants not yet born. That sword is what your Maker gave you. And no one can take that sword away. They can make bad laws, they can pass bad bills, they can screw it all up, but you have the sword. You have the sword of reason, and it's what he expects you to do, to use that sword, not just for your own interest, but for your neighbor's interest and for all of our interests, because when you use that sword of reason, you help me, you help Senator Gilden, you help Kelly Chambers, you help Jesse Young, you help all of us. The pastors, you help all of us. So in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 10 years, for the rest of your life, use that sword. Demand reason of your public servants. Don't let them lead with their heart. Don't let them stop at the easy photo op. You demand reason from your public servants, and we will fix what's broken in this state, and we will fix what's broken in this nation. And we don't mind who takes the political credit. Because the point is to fix what's broken. And that sword of reason that he put in your hand is the tool that will fix what's broken. God bless you all.